I never expected to discover breathtaking secrets in Egyptian myths that changed my view on life. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It felt like the world was crashing down with a deafening roar. The weight of it all pressed so hard on my chest, I could barely breathe. I was wrapped up in a haze of confusion, every heartbeat resonating sharply in my ears. It started with the flicker of an old, dusty book in the corner of my grandmother's attic. I had no idea that this forgotten relic would lead me down a path of miraculous secrets and haunting revelations. There it was, the tattered cover soft to the touch yet ominously crumbling. The words, Egyptian myths, glared at me like a warning. Curiosity clawed at my insides. I wiped away the cobwebs and opened it. A musty scent bombarded my senses, stirring something deep inside. It was as if the secrets of the ancients whispered through the faded pages. One myth spoke of the god Osiris, torn apart by his brother, deceit lurking in every word. It sent shivers down my spine. His resurrection, a miraculous return to life, felt both magical and terrifying. I could almost feel his bones mending, the pulse of a new life sparking in darkness. My own heart raced as I considered the impacts of sacrifice, pain, and rebirth in my own life. Then there was the story of the feather of Mot, a simple feather on the surface, but it held the weight of truth and justice. If your heart was lighter than this feather in the afterlife, you could transcend to eternal bliss. The image took root in my heart, trembling under the burden of truth at that moment. Had I lived with honesty, love? Or had I buried pieces of myself under the lies of others, each tale more gripping than the last? Every word dripped with intrigue and the air around me felt electric. Shadows danced as I turned each page, the room closing in around me. What if ancient powers were hidden in the fabric of everyday life? What if they were screaming for me to notice? I felt something shifting. Suddenly, my phone buzzed, jolting me out of my fevered imagination. A message from my brother was in trouble. My heart sank. I could almost hear the silence wrap around our family as we faced the unknown together. Was this a call to adventure or a harbinger of something darker? Would these myths reveal their gifts to help us through this looming shadow? The air hung heavy with unanswered questions, a collage of our lives in limbo. I inhaled deeply, my fingers trembling over the book's spine, poised between the worlds of wonder and pain. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The frantic beats of my heart echoed against the walls of the attic like an ominous drum. I stood entrenched in the shadows, the worrying thoughts of my brother's message hardly allowing me to breathe. What kind of trouble had he found himself in this time? The story of Osiris replayed in my head. It felt eerily applicable as I thought of how often sacrifice seemed to come knocking on our family's doorstep. That mythical resurrection echoed loudly within me. Nobody could save him but ourselves. If only we could rise to the occasion. Sliding the book under my arm, I made my way downstairs, my mind racing with worry and a spark of hope that perhaps the ancient secrets woven into those pages could illuminate our path. Please, let there be something, anything, I whispered to myself, desperation coating my words. I found solace in the thought that if Osiris could confront his own death, maybe I could find a way to confront the present. As I reached for the doorknob, the world outside felt eerily subdued, as if even the sun looked down with bated breath. Moments later, I arrived home, the familiar scent of my mother's cooking wafting through the air. A sharp pang of nostalgia twisted within me, reminding me of simpler times before the weight of life had cracked our family apart. I stepped into the living room, finding my mother, visibly tense, pacing back and forth. Her eyes met mine, and in them, I could see her worry mirrored back at me. "What did he say?" she asked, her voice trembling. "He didn't say much, just that he needs help," I breathed out, gripped by the same fear that danced around us like an unwelcome specter. She sank onto the couch, her hands clutching her temples. In that moment, I wished I could share the strength that streamed through the myths I had just uncovered. Perhaps they could hold the key to understanding our plight. Moments later, my phone chimed Aga in a video call. It was my brother, his face appearing on the screen, pallid against dim lighting. My heart sank as I took in his disheveled hair and weary eyes. "I'm sorry I messed up," he admitted, his voice wavering. My mother clasped her hands together, as if pulling strength from the very act. "What happened?" she asked softly, trying to mask her fear that it was a stupid decision. "I got involved with the wrong crowd, and I owe them money," he confessed, his gaze darting away. Each revelation landed heavily, creating ripples of fear in our hearts. "Well, figure this out," I said, desperation lining my voice. My thoughts flicked back to the feather of Mott. "We just need to figure out how to lighten the burden," I murmured under my breath, attempting to steady myself. Our call rounded into an unexpected plea for help, but still, amidst the overwhelm, kindness emerged like sunlight through a fractured window. My brother's friends hadn't abandoned him. Earlier that day, they'd offered him a way out, complete an absurdly dangerous task to earn back what he owed. It was a gamble, a risky roll of the dice. Part of me wanted to scream for him to reconsider. Yet, another part felt a flicker of hope burning underneath all that fear. Perhaps this was a chance to reshape his destiny. "Just be careful," I warned him, consumed by the surreal reality of our conversation. The image of Osiris navigating treachery and deceit haunted my mind, yet the strength to confront the darkness emerged, faced with an opportunity for a new beginning. As we ended our call, I looked at my mother. Her face was etched in worry, the lines deeper than I recalled. Yet in her eyes, I saw a glimmer of acceptance. Sometimes, even in turmoil, we found small measures of hope. But as I tucked the book back into my bag, the heavy reality of my brother's situation loomed large. Suddenly, as if the universe had heard my silent prayer, my phone buzzed once more. It was a text message, and as I read it, my breath caught in my throat. "They're not who they seem. Trust no one." My heart pounded as the weight of the warning settled heavily on my chest. No one could save us but ourselves, and the truth was hidden behind a veil of lies that threatened to smother us all. How had it all come to this? My journey deep into the Egyptian myths was no longer just about revelations. It had become a race against time, unearthing charms born from ancient wisdom to traverse our way out of peril. My pulse quickened as I looked out at the gathering storm clouds, heavy with secrets even darker than I had anticipated. Would I be able to protect my family, or would our lives unravel like the myths that had drawn me here in the first place? As I stood at the edge of our driveway, the sky above swirling with ominous clouds, remnants of the warmth from my brother's voice lingered in my mind, a bittersweet reminder of the bond we shared. I took a deep breath, bracing against the foreboding atmosphere that mirrored the turmoil inside me. My phone buzzed again, another message. It felt like each vibration was a trapdoor into an unseen abyss of anxiety, drawing me closer to the precipice of despair. "They're not who they seem," echoed in my thoughts. Who could I trust? My heart fluttered with disbelief. Could it be that those claiming to help him were the very source of this corruption? The weight of uncertainty pressed heavily as I walked inside. The haunting shadows followed me like unwelcome guests. At home, I caught a glimpse of my mother in the kitchen, stirring a pot of something that smelled divine, a stark contrast to the tight knot of worry twisting in my stomach. "You okay?" she asked, her voice cut with tenderness but burdened with doubt. "Yeah," I hesitated. "It's just I feel so helpless right now." Each word was a confession, a crack in the armor I thought I had fortified around myself. She turned to face me, her expression softening as she reached out to squeeze my hand. "Well, find him. You know that, right?" Her eyes shone with unwavering resolve, yet I could sense the tremor beneath her surface. "Do you think he's really in danger?" I dared to ask, grappling with the haunting reminder that not all stories have happy endings. Her gaze faltered, and I saw the flicker of fear dance across her features. "I don't know. But we can't give up hope." Hope. It felt so fragile, like a matchstick trembling against a fierce wind. Yet, as I observed her, I discovered something else: courage wrapped in uncertainty. I mirrored her intention, yearning for a way to shield her from what lay ahead. Moments later, we sat together on the couch, the silence between us heavy but comforting. I reached for the ancient book I found in the attic, seeking solace in its pages. With every word I read, it felt like whispers from the past offered revelations relevant to our lives now. Osiris fought against darkness, I murmured, sharing an insight I hadn't even realized I was contemplating. He was determined to rise again to reclaim his purpose. My mother nodded, visibly intrigued. And he had help, didn't he? Yes, I replied, emboldened by this newfound direction. His allies believed in him even when he couldn't believe in himself. As I lingered over the stories of rebirth and the strength found through unity, a spark of inspiration ignited within me. Perhaps we could be those allies for my brother. But the gnawing trepidation clawed its way back. Not every story guarantees a joyful ending. What if he chose to gamble everything on the whims of those who lacked true loyalty? Just then, a soft knock broke our shared moment, drawing our focus to the front door. It startled me, a reminder of the outside world intruding upon our fragile peace. I opened the door, half expecting another harbinger of doom, but instead found myself face to face with the last person I expected: Mira, my brother's old friend. "Is he okay?" she blurted out, eyes wide with fear. "He told me he was in trouble, but then he just vanished. I've been trying to reach him." Mira's presence was like a lighthouse in the fog, yet a hard lump formed in my throat. I had to tread carefully, the warning still echoing in my mind. "What do you know about his situation?" I asked, wariness in my voice. She shifted nervously, her fingers intertwining, revealing a lack of confidence that mirrored my own. "He got involved with some bad people, and I warned him. But he didn't listen. I thought he could handle it." Her eyes sparked with sincerity, a fervent offer of alliance. For a moment, the connection between us felt tangible, as if we were sister warriors bracing against the same forces. But doubt flickered. Had my brother trusted her? Or did she unknowingly represent further entanglements? "Help us find him," I finally said, feeling a mix of determination and trepidation solidifying in my gut. "He needs friends by his side, the right kind of friends." Mira nodded earnestly, her resolve mirroring mine. Yet, as we stepped inside, the weight of unspoken consequences loomed larger than ever. Together, we delved deeper into the myths, seeking a roadmap woven through time that might reveal how to navigate through temptation and deceit. But as the storm rumbled outside, a sudden urgency seized my heart. New revelations awaited us, but would they offer the truth we desperately needed? My brother's fate hung in the balance like a strand of fate, waiting to be aligned with our intentions, or torn asunder by choices made in desperation. As we strategized, the phone buzzed once more. My heart raced as I saw the name on the screen: "Me brother." The moment hung heavy in the air, fraught with the potential of heart-wrenching revelations, or perhaps another secret that could unravel everything we sought to protect. "Excuse me," I uttered, answering the call, unsure of what awaited on the other side. I could barely breathe as my brother's voice crackled through the speaker, a fragile thread connecting us across the chasm that had formed since his disappearance. "Hello," he said, his tone flat and distant. The warmth I had always associated with him felt miles away, as if it had been consumed by an unseen darkness. "Where are you?" I demanded, grappling with a mix of relief and foreboding as I fought to keep my voice steady. "Just stay away," he replied, urgency bleeding into his words. "You don't understand. But we're worried about you. We can help." I struggled, desperate to bridge the growing void. "What's going on?" The line crackled, the silence pressing down on us like the weight of unshed tears. "I messed up, okay? I thought I was in control. I thought I was strong enough." Strained echoes of regret seeped through the call, igniting a fire within me, a determination to pull him back from whatever abyss he had chosen. "You're not alone. You've got me, and Mira is here too. We can get you out." My heart pounded in my chest as I heard a choked laugh, bitter and devoid of humor. You don't get it. I'm in too deep now. They won't let me leave. Who won't? Who are you scared of? Silence enveloped him again, suffocating me. You can't save me. Just promise me you'll take care of Mom. The starkness of his request shattered me. No. We won't give up on you. I won't lose you too. The line went dead, the abrupt silence a deafening scream that echoed through my mind. I stood there, the phone shaking in my hand as the gravity of his words clawed at my heart. I turned to Mira, her hopeful expression now a solemn mask of shared despair. What did he say? He's in trouble, deep trouble, and he thinks he can't get out, I whispered, my voice trembling. This isn't good, she breathed, glancing around as if the walls held a few secrets of their own. We have to act quickly, before he spirals farther down. With newfound urgency, we began to piece together the scattered threads of his life, searching for clues in the half-forgotten memories and hushed conversations we shared about his recent changes. The past came flooding back, his laugh, the way his spirit glowed with unquenchable joy. He had fallen into darkness, and I was determined to pull him back. A flicker of movement outside caught my eye, a shadow drifted beneath the street lamps, and for a fleeting moment, I thought it was him. But as I ran to the window, the figure melted away into the night, leaving the cold chill of anxiety in its wake. Mira came to stand beside me, her voice a whisper as if speaking it aloud might draw it closer. What if he really is caught up with dangerous people? I saw the way he immersed himself in those circles. It's like he became someone else. Her worries resonated deep within me, a chord struck against the backdrop of my brother's recent choices. I know. I want to believe he hasn't lost himself entirely. There has to be a way to remind him who he is. Suddenly, a loud crash jolted us both. I turned just in time to see the book fall off the table, pages fluttering like distressed birds. As I picked it up, a scrap of paper slipped from between its pages, landing at my feet. Mira leaned closer, urging me to unfold it. Unearthing the secret felt like prying open a locked treasure chest, the anticipation mingling with fear. The slip of paper bore a rough sketch, hastily drawn. It was a map of our town with an X marked in red ink, closer to the outskirts, near the abandoned warehouse. Do you think I hesitated, uncertainty threading through my veins? Do you think it could lead us to him? Myra's eyes lit up with a mix of hope and dread. It's worth checking out. Maybe it's a rendezvous point. It could reveal who he's been involved with. Just as we started to gather our things, a figure emerged outside the glass, an unexpected visitor standing beneath the porch light. My chest tightened as I bowed my head to catch a better glimpse. It was one of my brother's old acquaintances, a face I hadn't seen for years. My heart raced as I stepped back from the window, caught between fear and the knowledge that the person outside might hold answers. They began to walk away, heading towards the rear of the house, seemingly unaware I was watching. Mira, I whispered, feeling the weight of the moment settle fiercely on my shoulders. Should we confront them? They might know something. Wait, she urged, her voice steady. Let's think this through. It could be tangled further in lies, or even a trap. Yet the desire to reach out gripped me. In one quick movement, I dashed to the door and flung it open, the night air cool against my fevered skin. Hey! Wait! But it was too late. The figure paused, turned, and with a flash of recognition, their eyes met mine. A weighty silence hung between us as I felt the world blur around me. Funny running into you here, they said, a mix of sarcasm and unease dripping from their tone. He's not the only one in trouble. My world tilted. What did they mean? Were they simply a messenger of more chaos, or had they uncovered another layer of the truth I was desperate to understand? Who are you working with? I challenged, my voice steadier than my heart. Just someone who could help, they said, smirking in a way that twisted my stomach. But you really don't want to know the whole story. Uneasiness washed over me. Somehow, in a web much bigger than I had anticipated, a new avenue of dread unfurled. My brother's decisions were tied to something darker than I imagined, and if his connections were as dangerous as my instincts warned, time was slipping through the cracks, and as the night deepened, so did the shadows cast by unknown threats, urging us to step cautiously into a labyrinth of secrets each twist and turn could lead to salvation or despair. Would I uncover the truths hidden in the undertow, or would each revelation pull me further away from the light? The air crackled with tension, my heart pounding against my chest as the stranger's words echoed in my mind. You really don't want to know the whole story. What do you mean? I pressed, desperate for answers. Just tell me what you know about my brother. They shifted, glancing over their shoulder as though afraid the shadows held ears. It's not just his choices that matter. There's a whole network around him. Ideas, influences. You're stepping into a world you can't fully grasp. With each word, my determination clashed with the weight of uncertainty. I looked back at Mira, who stood hesitant at the doorframe, torn between fear and the need to act. I could see her wrestling with the urge to pull me away, to retreat into safety. Please, just tell me what you know. I begged, my voice rising. Look, they said, eyes narrowing. I met him because I needed something. He was different then. So full of hope. Their gaze shifted, memories playing behind their eyes. But then he started hanging out with the wrong crowd. Promises led to debts he couldn't pay. What kind of debts? I pressed, feeling the fabric of reality stretch thin. The warmth I felt toward this old acquaintance shifted into a chill, a whisper that warned me not to trust too easily. They lure you in with power, with excitement. But it's smoke and mirrors, they replied, a subtle tremor betraying their own fear. Once you're in, it's hard to see a way out. Each revelation struck like an arrow, deeper and more unsettling. I glanced at Mira, her expression merging caution with anguish, mirroring the tumult boiling within me. Then help me. Help us, I pleaded, my voice wavering between desperation and fury. You know him. You can reach him. The stranger's facade crumbled slightly, revealing an undercurrent of conflict. I don't think he can be reached. What's waiting in the dark is more dangerous than you realize. Getting involved could cost you everything. Cost me everything. The words landed heavily, and the fear that had been simmering inside me began to boil. What if it already has? What if he's lost beyond saving? I have to. Without warning, the stranger stepped closer, the intensity of their gaze locking onto mine. You don't understand what they're capable of. This isn't just about him anymore. There's more at stake. If you pursue this, it might shatter what little you have left. The weight of their warning clung to me, mingling with the unbearable sense of loss that clouded my heart. Anguish seeped through my veins like poison, but with it came a flicker of anger that my brother had let himself be ensnared, anger that someone I cared about was now at risk due to forces I couldn't see or understand. Why are you telling me this? I asked, seeking clarity amidst the chaos. What do you stand to gain? I knew him once, the stranger sighed, brushed a hand through their hair in a gesture of weariness. And I might still owe him one last favor. Their lips parted in a sardonic twist. Just don't expect heroes in this story. Sometimes the best we can do is survive. Before I could respond, they turned on their heel and began to walk away, the shadows swallowing them whole as my resolve crystallized. I couldn't let that conversation end there, nor could I let my brother slip further into a void where hope became a distant memory. What if I can bring him back? My voice burst forth, chasing after their retreating figure. What if he just needs to remember who he was? Who he is? The stranger paused, their back a canvas of indecision. Sometimes drowning in nostalgia can cloud judgment, they replied, the hesitance in their tone filling me with a mix of frustration and an ember of hope. But if you're determined, be careful. The path you're choosing is fraught with shadows you can't fight alone, and just like that, their form disappeared, leaving behind an echo of words that lazed around me like a threat. The quiet hum of the night surrounded me, the stars glaring down at my foolishness and bravery alike. Mira stepped closer. What now? She asked, her voice quiet, laced with concern. We have to go to that place on the map, I said, a fierce urgency igniting within me. I know it's dangerous, but if he's there he needs to see us. He needs to know that we haven't given up. I'm with you, she affirmed, her eyes steady, offering grace amid turmoil. Holding on to that spark of hope, we prepared to face whatever awaited us at the abandoned warehouse. My heart, still echoed with promises unfulfilled, thudded hard against my chest. This was no longer just about rescuing my brother, it had become a desperate chase through shadows I couldn't fully comprehend. And as we stepped into the abyss of our own making, one question lingered in the depths of my heart: was I leading us to salvation or deeper into the dark? Just as we reached the edge of the lot where the flickering lights of the old building loomed ahead, my phone buzzed violently in my pocket, startling me. I fished it out, breath caught in my throat as I found a message waiting on the screen. Get out. It's not just your brother who's in danger. They're coming for you. My stomach twisted violently as I looked at Mira, fear etched across her features. The curtain of night closed tightly around us, and I suddenly felt like the prey in a hunt I didn't even know had begun. The warehouse loomed ahead, a relic of forgotten times, its crumbling concrete and shattered glass whispering secrets only the night could hold. With each step, anticipation battled with fear inside me, my heart a relentless drum echoing the urgency of our mission. The air was heavy, saturated with the smell of rust and rain, a reminder of the choices that had led us here. What if it's a trap? Mira mused, her voice a thread of uncertainty amid the oppressive silence. We can't just walk in blindly. That I looked over at her, trying to convey steadiness I didn't feel. We've come too far to turn back now. He's my brother, Mira. I can't lose him. The weight of those words tightened my chest, each syllable a reminder of the bond that had tethered us both to the same fate. Suddenly, a flicker of movement pulled my gaze to a shadowy figure in the corner near the entrance. I swallowed hard, adrenaline coursing through me. Did you see that? I whispered, pointing toward it. Mira tensed, her instinctive fear palpable. Maybe it's someone who can help us, she suggested, her voice trembling like a fragile leaf in the wind. Cautiously, we crept closer, the darkness swallowing us whole. As we approached, the figure shifted, revealing itself to be a frail man, his wild hair illuminated for a brief moment by the glow of a dying streetlight. Who goes there? He croaked, eyes wide with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. That I am looking for my brother, I said, my voice shaky yet firm, hoping he would understand the urgency embedded in my plea. Do you know him? A strange smile flickered across his face, revealing a set of crooked teeth. The boy who dances with shadows. Yes, I've seen him. His voice, rough yet oddly soothing, ebbed and flowed like the tide, drawing us in. He's lost, navigating realms no one dares to tread. What do you mean? I pressed, stepping closer despite the gnawing anxiety in my gut. There are those who whisper sweet lies, offering freedom through ties as dark as night, he murmured cryptically, eyes darting as if he feared being overheard. They parade promises, but behind each one lurks a deeper abyss. Mira took a cautious step back, her unease palpable. This doesn't sound good. We need to find him now. The man waved me down as if calming a restless beast. You'll find what you seek, but at a cost. You must tread carefully. There is a reckoning awaiting those who dare to unearth the buried truths. That I searched his eyes, hoping to find clarity, but all I could see reflected back was the storm of disbelief and fear that had invaded my heart. What truth are you talking about? What do you know? He leaned closer, speaking in a near whisper. In the depths of this darkness, your brother isn't the only one entrapped. There are secret chambers filled with souls yearning to break free, a tangled web that connects you to him and the others. Mira's voice trembled as she interrupted. What do you mean others? Is he in danger? Before the man could respond, a loud crash reverberated from within the warehouse, disrupting the fragile moment we shared. Dust fell from the ceiling as if the very building was warning us of impending doom. That we need to go, I urged, grabbing Mira's hand. But the man clutched my arm tightly, his strength surprising. Wait. You must understand. You're not simply here to rescue him. There are repercussions for your actions. The shadows don't like being disturbed. His voice grew urgent, almost desperate. Do you wish to unearth truths that could unravel your very existence? Panic flared within me, thoughts spiraling through my mind. The stakes were higher than I had imagined, and I was dragging Mira into a world where the boundaries of reality blurred into myth and terror. But the thought of my brother stagnated any retreat. I couldn't back away now. With a sudden intensity, I met the man's eyes, veins pumping with resolve. I have to save him. No matter the cost. That he nodded, releasing his grip but stepping back, wisdom etched across his face. Then may the winds guide you, but remember, some truths should remain unspoken. As we turned to enter the warehouse, the shadows of doubt crept behind us, threatening to engulf our fragile hope. But just as we breached the threshold, a strange voice called from the darkness. Stop right there. My pulse quickened at the sound. It was a voice I recognized. It was my brother's. Mila. I gasped, the name echoing through the dismal halls of the past. Who's there? His voice was jagged and raw, laced with the unmistakable touch of fear. Please, we're here to help you. I shouted, fighting the rising tide of desperation. We've come for you. Seconds stretched into eternity as silence enveloped us, an invisible barricade trapping our breaths. Then, from within the shadows, a figure emerged. Me brother. But the gaze I found in his eyes sent a cold wave of horror coursing through me. Gone was the light of hope that used to dance within him. Instead, his features twisted into a mask of something unrecognizable, something I only knew from nightmares. Behind him stood others, their faces obscured, gathering like darkness pooling at the edges of light. Mila. His voice cracked, uncertain, haunted. You shouldn't have come. You don't understand what you're stepping into. Terror gripped my heart, a revelation coursing through my veins. What had I unleashed? As the other figures shifted, their eyes glimmering like the hungry gaze of wolves, I knew we had crossed a threshold we couldn't retreat from. The darkness loomed larger than life, and I was suddenly aware of the fragile bridge between hope and despair that hung above the void. Get back! I screamed to Mira, but it was too late. The shadows lunged, obscuring everything in an overwhelming embrace, and I felt myself teetering on the edge of an abyss I could not comprehend the true nature of the danger closing in. The path ahead was no longer ours to traverse. We were now entangled in the myth we sought to understand, confronting a reality that threatened to shatter whatever fragments of light still clung to us. In that moment, another message flashed across my phone: they know you're coming. And I knew, with agonizing clarity, our quest had only just begun, plunging us deeper into a labyrinth of unexpected betrayals, dangerous secrets, and breathtaking choices. The darkness felt alive, slithering around me like a serpent poised to strike. My brother's anguished expression haunted me, the worry etched across his face consuming my thoughts. It was as if he stood before me as a Mirahea ghost of the boy I once knew, trapped in some wicked spell. Mila, please. He pleaded again, his voice breaking, tears streaking through the dirt on his cheeks. You've got to turn back. You don't know what's waiting for you here. Mira squeezed my hand, her pulse racing against mine, an unspoken bond of fear and determination. We have to help him, but we need to be careful, she whispered urgently. Her wide eyes darted to the shadowy figures advancing slowly behind my brother, their intentions unclear. Get away from him. I shouted, stepping forward despite the chain of dread that pulled at my chest. We're not leaving until we understand what's happening. Mila, listen to me. He implored, desperation swelling in his voice. It's not what you think. I've made choices. They're not safe for you. Please, just go. An unsettling silence filled the space, charged with tension and fear. I could feel the intangible barrier between us thickening, almost as if the air itself was warning me that stepping closer to him would shatter whatever dreams we held of saving him. But I had come too far. Turning back now was not an option. Tell us what's going on. I demanded, voice shaking but resolute. You can trust us. We're the only ones who care enough to show up. With a broken choking sound, my brother's eyes flickered to the figures around him. You don't understand what they are. They're not just shadows. They're their manifestations of power. Dark power that will consume you whole if you let it. It twists souls to its will. As if punctuating his warning, the other figures stepped closer, their features morphing into twisted reflections of familiarity. Each shadowy face was a piece of my past, people I had lost or thought I'd left behind. My heart faltered as the shadows whispered secrets only I could hear, tales of failures and regrets I had buried in the recesses of my mind. Mira. I gasped, clenching her hand tighter. Can you hear them? She nodded, the colors draining from her face. It's like they're echoing our fears, turning family against family, making us question what's real that we have to fight it. I yelled defiantly, forcing myself to look back at my brother. We can do this together. I'm so sorry, Mila, he murmured, his voice heavy with sorrow. I didn't know how to stop it. I thought I could learn to control it. But it's too strong. I can't protect you. None of us are safe. No. My voice rang out, filled with anger and empathy in equal measure. You're strong. You just need to remember who you are. For a heartbeat, a flicker of recognition shone in his eyes, a spark of the brother I once cherished. But then the flicker dimmed, replaced by the cold grip of fear. Mila, please. There's something I have to tell you, but not here. Not like this. Before I could respond, a gust of wind swept through the warehouse, intensifying the shadows that encircled us. The figures extended their hands, and I felt the unsettling pull of their grasp trying to reach for the very heart of my being. Mira, run! I shouted as I surged forward, fueled by panic and resolve. But as I moved, I felt my feet becoming heavy, the shadows willing me to surrender, to give in to their dark allure. Fight it, Mila! Mira screamed, tears streaming down her face as she pulled at my arm, desperation matching my own. The garments of darkness tightened around us, muffling our cries, dragging us deeper into an insidious swirl of fear and uncertainty. I felt my brother's hand reaching out, trembling, the connection between us threatening to unravel amidst the swirling shadows. They want you to lose hope. They're feeding off it. He shouted, his voice desperate. If you give in, they'll take everything, but how do we fight when the shadows know our weaknesses? I yelled back, heart racing as the tendrils of darkness snaked around me, coiling tightly. In a sudden surge of courage, I focused on the love that had always existed between us, the memories of bright summer days and carefree laughter. As that light surged within me, I felt the shadows flinch, momentarily weakening their hold. I glanced at Mira, who met my eyes with a spark of hope amidst all the despair. Remember who we are. I urged her. We've come too far to turn back now. We believe in each other. As if in defiance of the dark energies ignited in a fragile dance, illuminating the suffocating shadows while our cries echoed through the crumbling walls. But just then, my phone buzzed again, breaking through the chaos. I whipped it out, heart pounding as I read the message. If you continue, you will unleash horrors you can't imagine. Don't pursue this. Leave now. Time froze as dread coiled around my heart, cold and unyielding. I looked up, trapped between the shadows closing in and the brother who might be falling deeper into despair. Mila, my brother's voice trembled as panic flickered in his eyes. You have to make a choice, and in that moment, faced with my deepest fears and the promise of truths yet unknown, I felt the world shift beneath my feet. I had to decide: follow the whispers of darkness or fight for what little light remained. The weight of that choice hung heavily in the air, teetering on the brink of an uncharted abyss. The shadows pulsated around us, a brooding storm desperate to drown the light we clung to. My heart raced, each beat an echo of the choices pressing down on my shoulders. The air thickened, heavy with secrets not just of darkness, but of an unbearable truth I dared not voice. Mila, don't listen to it. Shouted my brother, his voice raw with urgency. You don't know how powerful it is, not just the darkness, but the revelations it can bring. You have to trust that some truths are better left buried. Mira pulled me closer to her, the warmth of her presence sparking a flicker of defiance against the encroaching gloom. We've come this far together, Mila. We can't let fear be our anchor. Her eyes glistened, determined and bright amidst the madness, but I could see the tremor in her hands, the anxiety in the furrow of her brow. Tell me what you found. I urged my brother, urgency creeping into my tone as fear intertwined with desperation. I needed to know to understand the gravity of what we were confronting in that godforsaken warehouse. What is so terrible that you'd send us away? He hesitated, casting his gaze down, as if the shadows themselves were listening, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. There are things manifesting here that tap into the ancient myths, things that should never have been disturbed. His voice was thick with dread, almost as if each word was a battle on its own. By trying to unlock these powers, I risked it all, Mila. I risked you. In that moment, the shadows seemed to pulse with malevolence, a churn of darkness that felt almost sentient, listening intently for the moment of weakness, the chink in our armor. The whispers surged louder, winding around my thoughts, reminding me of my fears, my regrets, and the worry I harbored for those I loved. Twisted faces of the past loomed close, blending into one as they echoed the unkind truths, the fights we had, the distance that grew between us, the moments lost. Your brother has failed you, Mila, they hissed, driving deep into my heart. He is the source of this darkness. No. I screamed, feeling the cold seep deeper, almost paralyzing. He's still my brother. I won't abandon him. The figures paused, which allowed my brother a moment's clarity. This darkness has a way of turning us against ourselves, he murmured bitterly, of exploiting our deepest vulnerabilities to gain power. I felt invincible for a moment, but it turned, Mila. It turned into something unrecognizable. As I grappled with the turmoil brewing inside, the silhouettes surged forward, their presence an assault on my senses. Desperation clawed at my throat, urging me to back down, to give in to despair and flee into safety. I glanced at Mira, and in her eyes flickered a shared understanding. We had to keep fighting, no matter how dire it became, together. I yelled, the passion in my voice igniting the spark between USA's small but fierce defiance against the dark. Mira, we're not just confronted by shadows, we're standing before the truths that have bound us for far too long. We can't give them the power to tear us apart. The shadows writhed in agitation, the distorted murmurs intensifying a chaotic symphony of sneers and entreaties. You think you can resist? You're not strong enough to face the truth. They hissed, practically daring us to step back. With a soul-stealing breath, I stepped forward, feeling the warmth of truth slowly burning against the chilling grasp of fear. We are enough. I shouted, every syllable a weapon. I believe in us. And in response, Mira squeezed my hand like a lifeline, grounding me against the fear drawing me down. The shadows recoiled, the darkness twisting back as if trying to shield itself from the fierce light growing in our hearts. But even as determination flooded through my veins, an unsettling thought flickered at the edges of my mind. What if the truth was something I didn't want to face? What if uncovering my brother's secrets meant unraveling the very fabric of our past? Just then, as my brother took a step towards the yawning darkness, intent on revealing more, something shifted. A deep crack sliced through the floor, its jagged edges glowing ominously. An eruption of noise and chaos erupted, shadows twisting wildly as if the universe itself was awakening, expelling a thick wave of energy that sent us stumbling back. Mila! He shouted, his eyes wide with horror and realization. Whatever they unleash, it won't stop with us. My pulse raced as my thoughts spiraled. Was he about to sacrifice himself for me? Desperation clawed at my heart, threatening to drown my will. The churning rift loomed impossibly close, whispers growing ever more enticing, weaving dreams of escape through honeyed promises. Mila, come with me. He called, despair spilling from his voice. We can go now. And at that moment, when I had to choose between faith and flight, between familial love and my own self-preservation, my instincts screamed that whatever lay beneath that crack would shatter everything I thought I knew. But what of the brother who was so desperately reaching toward me? What if the truth was something beyond the shadows? Just as I opened my mouth to respond, a sudden tremor split through the ground, swallowing the space between us. The decision weighed heavily in my heart as the shadows slithered, creeping in like a tide over the edge of a cliff. Mila, my brother's voice cracked, frantic. There isn't much time. Choose now. And as another wave of dark energy pulsed, pulling at me like an unseen tide, everything I thought I knew teetered on the brink of catastrophe. In the cruel grip of uncertainty, I felt the weight of my choice bearing down, as if the very fates themselves were preparing to shatter my world apart. The cracks widened beneath us as shadows twisted and writhed, an ever-deepening abyss threatening to swallow the remnants of our shared strength. Mila. My brother's voice splintered through the tumult, desperate, pleading. Trust me. We have to leave. But every instinct I possessed anchored me to the moment, to him. The chaos surged like a tempest around us, and the pressure intensified, igniting something primal within my core. If we leave now, what will become of all this? I cried, gesturing to the pulsating darkness, the secret truths that lay just beyond our reach. We can't escape without understanding, without facing what's hidden. Myra's grip tightened around my fingers, her warmth a beacon amongst the cold fear that flooded my veins. You're right, Mila. We've fought so hard to uncover the truth. We can't turn away now. The shadows seemed to hum in response, their whispers blending into a wicked symphony that played on our fears. Together, I echoed, drawing strength from her. Just then, however, the floor beneath us let out an anguished groan, and the bindings keeping our resolve simmering began to strain. Mila. My brother's urgency transformed into frantic panic. You don't understand. There are forces at play here that none of us can comprehend. This darkness, it is deeper than our fears, darker than our secrets. The crack pulsed violently, sharp shards of energy sparking with an otherworldly luminescence, illuminating the twisted faces within the shadows, the ones that mirrored my own doubts, long-buried grievances, and long-lost dreams. Don't you see? Your past is what gives this darkness its power. Face it, and it will consume you. But within that swirling tempest of despair, flickers of clarity fought against the shadows, the memories of laughter at the dinner table, Sunday morning spent carelessly reminiscing about our childhood adventures. My brother had always held those moments sacred, just like I had. Why would that part of him yearn to plunge us into a void? Mila, please. He insisted, desperation creeping into every syllable. You look at me and see only the brother who has failed. But there's more to this than I can explain. We can break this curse, but I need you to trust me. The tension felt tangible, as if the shadows themselves were holding their breath, waiting for my response. I had spent so long trying to understand this labyrinth of darkness that now encroached on the very essence of who I was. But amid the chaos, something flickered within me, a memory, a feeling of a shared bond. In that moment, I remembered my brother as he used to be, a protector, a companion, a part of a whole. Mila. Another tremor shook the ground, rebellion echoing in its wake. No more running, Mira. I glanced at her, feeling the silent strength pouring from our bond. We can't abandon him right now. But just as I steeled myself, the shadows lunged with a renewed ferocity, tendrils of darkness curling around my brother, pulling him towards the yawning black below. Mila. His voice rose in pitch, panic replacing urgency. We will lose everything. A fierce determination surged through me. No. I shouted against the rising tide, feeling as if my very heart might shatter. I refuse to let the darkness take you. We fight. Suddenly, an unexpected warmth enveloped me, blossoming from the cracks beneath. In the heart of the chilling chaos, a small, fragile light flickered into existence, a shimmer breaking through the oppressive gloom. It radiated not just with warmth, but with whispers of hope, promises of not just survival but renewal. Stay close. I urged Mira, feeling drawn towards the fragile illumination, its glow brightening every passing second. The shadows recoiled, their whispers turning frantic, fraying at the edges as their hold began to weaken. Mila, be careful. My brother cried, but something deep inside compelled me forward. Each step taken felt like defiance against despair, a choice to embrace the hope that flickered just within reach. But suddenly, as the light stretched towards us, the shadows convulsed, erupting in a cacophony of Screams that echoed through the darkness, shrill and haunting. They twisted, morphing into terrifying faces, each visage an amalgam of every fear I had ever faced. "You can't escape your past, Mila," they shrieked. "It will consume you, I can't." I shouted back, planting my feet firm against the ground, now shaking violently, swinging my hands fiercely at the advancing shadows. "I can face this because I choose love over fear." Together, we fans of the flame, my brother, my unwavering companion, and I surged forward, driven by purpose, our hearts aligned against the terror threatening to engulf us. The fragile light intensified, pushing back against the tide of darkness with renewed vigor, but even as warmth threatened to engulf us, I couldn't shake another thought. What if the past I feared the most held the key to my brother's salvation, or worse, the final shattering revelation that could sever our bond forever? As the shadows writhed against the radiant illumination, an unexpected thunderclap split the air, and the crack beneath us pulsated violently, its energy swirling into a cyclone of chaos, demanding our surrender. "Mila!" My brother twisted to catch my eye, but there was violence in the energy swirling around us, blurring the edges of our reality. "We can't hold this together. You have to make a choice," and just like that, as our resolve intertwined with the light, I understood. The question of my brother's secrets, his darkness, had never just been about protecting me. It was about saving himself from a fate destined to unleash even greater horrors. Each beat of my heart echoed with a choice I would have to make, a choice that would either bind us together or tear us apart forever. I stretched out my hand toward the blazing light, feeling the warmth wash over me before the unsettled power around us erupted. "Mila!" my brother yelled, the crack beneath us threatening to swallow everything that as my world began to unravel. The last of my thoughts crystallized into one painful truth. I was moments away from a revelation I never expected, a truth that could change everything. And it was both terrifying and exhilarating, standing on the precipice of everything, desperate to claim my destiny amidst a swirling storm of darkness. The moment the shadows lunged forward, I felt a surge of energy, an instinctual response to protect not just my brother, but to reclaim the part of him that had been lost in the depths of despair. "We won't let you win," I bellowed, pushing through the swirling chaos, my voice cutting through the din like a beacon of defiance. The warmth of the light encircled me, shielding me against the encroaching dark, mind racing through the implications of my choice. "Mila, you have to trust your heart." My brother's urgent plea rang out once more, and I locked eyes with him, the abyss swirling around us almost palpable. The moments of our shared childhood beckoned, intermingled with his laughter, the adventures that had shaped who we became. I couldn't let the darkness distort the memories that had been colored vivid with love. I stepped towards him, my mind igniting with clarity amid the chaos, and I found my voice. "You deserve to heal, just like we all do. We can confront this together." The shadows pulsed, responding to the raw emotion that surged from my core, but I refused to shy away from their wrath. "You may have had a hold on him," I shouted defiantly, "but you don't own him. You don't own us." Each word I uttered gathered strength, igniting something deep within, the possibility that truth could tip the scales if I dared to pull on all the threads of our shared history. The black tendrils hesitated, momentarily thrown off balance by the conviction in my heart. A flicker of doubt spread through the oppressive darkness, a reminder that amidst the layers of pain and chaos lay the sacred bond grounded and tethered in love. I could feel it coursing through my veins, illuminating the shadows with the power of our shared stories. "We're more than our fears," I yelled, my voice ringing out in the oppressive blackness. For a heartbeat, silence blanketed everything, the shadows held their breath. I pressed on, undeterred by the peril surrounding me. "What you have taken from us, we will reclaim. This darkness can't extinguish our light." And with that proclamation, I extended both hands toward my brother, forcing myself to remain grounded in the warmth of belief. "Together, we can break the cycle." As if fueled by the weight of my resolve, the light flared, filling every crevice with an intensity that washed over everything around us. Flickering memories danced in the brightness, illuminating pieces of our past that had been lost in the shadows, moments of vulnerability, laughter, and love. I felt my brother's hesitant fingers meet mine, the warmth igniting the space between us. In that fragile connection, I sensed something shift, the shadows recoiling in defiance, whispering curses, straining against the sanctity of our bond. You're strong enough, we're strong enough. I urged him, feeling the energy pulse beneath our fingertips, a tether pulling our souls toward the light. Remember when we'd tell stories around the campfire? The ones where we faced mythical beasts together. This is just another tale we'll tell. An unraveling of the darkness. His eyes glistened, then hardened with determination. The struggle evident on his face as anger and vulnerability intertwined. But not all stories end well, Mila. I've lost parts of myself that may never return. Pain twisted through him, and I felt my heart wrench, the weight of his agony crashing over us like waves, but that doesn't mean we give up on the fight. I countered passionately. And if we lean into that fear, we'll never break free. The past has shaped us, yes, but it doesn't define our future. The shadows flared in protest as I maintained that shape of certainty around our connection. Hold on to the light. I urged, and I saw a flicker of recognition ignite within him, a spark of the brother he used to be. I could feel his fear wrestling against hope, pulling him apart. That he took a trembling breath, his eyes softening, and locked onto mine, betraying the recognition of a shared truth more significant than despair. Mila, please, don't let the shadows take you. In that fleeting moment, understanding surged between USA Lifeline. Born from years of shared stories, laughter, and the pain that had once driven us apart. The depth of our connection became a force against the oppression closing in, strengthening me in a way I never expected. I refuse to lose you to this darkness. Together, we can face whatever lies within. Let's embrace our truths and redefine the story. With the energy swirling around us igniting, my brother closed the gap between us, courage awakening in his eyes as he took my hands firmly. Together, he whispered. The shadows recoiled once more, their ferocity waning as they absorbed the light radiating from our bond. With renewed purpose, we took a step forward, betting everything on our connection against the dark. As we approached the abyss, the light burst forth blinding, illuminating the depths of both our pasts and our fears. The shadows writhed in frustration, losing their grip as the light engulfed the air around us, welcoming us into new beginnings. Face your truths. We shouted, voices unified, roaring through the darkness. We held on to one another fiercely until I felt my spirit on the precipice of transformation. And as the shadows recoiled, swirling into something unrecognizable, the darkness shattered, revealing a landscape scattered with wonder amid the debris-colored fragments of our memories fluttered like autumn leaves, swirling in a breeze. And in the silence that followed, amid the scattering remnants of shadows, I felt an overwhelming sense of weightlessness, a promise that we could rewrite the very essence of who we were to become. I turned to my brother, our eyes meeting, a sense of profound understanding connecting us again. "I'm here," he whispered, the truth spilling from his lips. "And I'm ready to reclaim the light." And in that very moment, the whispers of the past faded away, a conclusion I never anticipated, but somehow, it felt like the beginning of everything I had waited for. As the dawn broke through the gloom, I realized it was not merely about saving him from darkness, but also about saving myself. Finding hope wrapped in acceptance and forgiveness wasn't just possible, it was a beautiful truth we could embrace together. With trembling hearts, we stepped forward, united, ready to forge a future unfettered by darkness, and freed by the very burdens we once bore. As the sun's golden rays danced across the horizon, illuminating every corner, I whispered a silent promise into the soft, warm air. This is our new beginning. In that moment of truth, I understood, sometimes the fiercest light lies within, waiting to break free from the shadows and paint the sky with the beauty of rebirth.